Peace and welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. I had to hurry today with my alternative teleprompter. Hey, David, Anne, Ed, Christina, Mary, Robert, Ellen, Catherine, Sue, Martha, Maggie, Barbara, Sean, David, Janet, Pat, Amy, Lee, Casey, and Jen. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here live. Welcome and peace be with you all. Today, a biblical near-death experience, the biblical near-death experience of Lazarus, and how in John 11, Jesus never said in either Greek or Aramaic, "Believe in me." This changes everything. A warning. Don't expect to hear the story of Lazarus that you know from your childhood church. The Aramaic leans in an entirely different direction, which is a mystical oneness. Today, I'll make a direct connection to the thoughts of Jesus on that day, that maybe mythical day, and our modern understanding of near-death experience. Imagine this scene. Word reaches Jesus and his disciples that his beloved friend, Lazarus, is gravely ill. Do you have a beloved dear friend? If you could, would you rush to them if they were gravely ill? Lazarus, known as Lazar in Aramaic, is the beloved brother of Mary and Martha, who live in Bethany just south of Jerusalem. With heavy hearts, Martha and Mary send a desperate message to Jesus, also known as Yeshua in the Aramaic, pleading with him to come and save Lazarus before it's too late. Psychic Jesus has a prediction. Something happens to him. He makes a choice. Maybe sees the future. But in a curious turn of events, Yeshua delayed his departure for 2 days. His disciples were baffled. After 2 days, Yeshua finally decided to go. And they ask him, why now? Lazarus is probably already dead. Besides, Bethany is near Jerusalem, which is deadly dangerous for you. Just last week or so, they tried to kill you. It's better to stay here and keep a low profile. Yeshua responded with profound wisdom. Those who walk in the daytime don't stumble, for they see clearly. I see clearly, because I walk guided by the light. That's what he meant. Lazarus has returned to the source, which is love, from the Aramaic. He's returned to the source, which is love. I'm glad Lazarus is already dead. He's glad Lazarus is already dead. So you may believe. I'm going to Bethany. You can stay here or come along and see. With his heart, again from the Aramaic, with his heart kindled by love for Lazarus, Mary, and Martha, Yeshua follows the guidance. This transcendent love, this divine energy, as in the Aramaic, it slowly grows like little bits of fuel catching flame and expanding into a persistent inner fire. My thanks to the Revelations of Aramaic Jesus, authored by Dr. Neil Douglas Klotz, for revealing the mystically minded Jesus. This persistent fire is what he's talking about. Upon their arrival in Bethany, they're met by Martha, who's grieving deeply. Yeshua tells her, Lazarus will rise and stand up again. Aramaic, he'll rise and stand up again. Now, maybe Jesus did have this vision or some kind of psychic understanding of what could come. He had some kind of future telling. Have you ever glimpsed the future? Let me know in the comments. With a mix of faith and resignation, Martha replies, "Yes, I know. Lazarus will rise again." And here's the Aramaic: when the consequences of his life's actions are revealed in a balanced review of his life. I'll read that again. He will rise again when the consequences of his life's actions are revealed in a balanced review of his life. That's the Aramaic. This refers to a life review. Many of us have had life reviews in our near-death experiences. It's a spiritual process where one's actions and consequences of those actions are evaluated and understood more deeply, leading to spiritual, heavenly awakening. And when we come back, a lifelong spiritual growth. Yes, there is such a thing as spiritual awakening and growth after death. As we die, we shed a residue of our life's entanglements with time and space, especially during this life review. We can either begin to let go now in preparation or wait until it's done involuntarily at death, which adds a level of difficulty. So why take the risk, I thought, after my first NDE? Why not get connected now? Why not learn non-attachment in this lifetime? Why not ease my passage, my next passage? Third time be a charm, maybe. Why not ease my passage into the next life? Maybe I can avoid a life review like I had in the purgative fire of divine love. Not that it was terrible because it ended in beauty, but maybe I can avoid it. So after my first near-death experience in life review, I decided maybe to speed up the process of letting go by using the quiet mind in meditation through Kriya Yoga and other kind of practices as my tools. So far, so good. So in Christian mythology, maybe I can avoid the cherubim with the flaming sword that guides the gate to the tree of life from the land of Eden. In my first death, I had to pass through the fiery sword. Maybe the second time I won't. Maybe more than 40 years after making the choice to live with a monk's heart in the world, maybe that worked. I feel that it does. I feel like it does. This kindled and kindled divine energy inside of me. The deeper I connect with the inner light, the more the inner light lives in me now. It lights my daily path and leads me home. It is my guide. Being guided by the living light is the eternal magic of the greatest manifestation of light in the world available to all of us. Bring heaven here now. So then Yeshua declares from the Aramaic again, this is where it gets really interesting. He says, I am the self with a capital S, connected to the divine self. I am consolation, rest, peace amidst change. I am the renewal of life energy in nature, the resurrection. I am the simple presence uniting the individual I to the universal I. This presence offers rest and renewal of energy, reviving what seems dead into life's spring. Trust in the reality of this presence, and you will continue to live even as you pass through the door of death, leading to a further purpose. That's entirely different than what we find in the translations from the Greek. And it's just like near death experiences. Later in the Gospel of John 17:21, Yeshua understands and he says that we can be one in the same way that he is one with the Christ or cosmic consciousness, which is what he's talking about here. His united self, lower self, with the higher self. He's not talking about me, he's talking about thee. Make them one, us, as you and I are one, he says in 17. When he says the I am, he means the Christ consciousness, the Perusa, the supreme self, the oneness. This oneness is you, dear listener, and me, and all of us. Yeshua continued in John 11:26 from the Aramaic, and whoever lives, and here's the crux of it, and whoever lives and entrusts shall never die. You won't die if you live in the light, and you live in the light, so you won't die. Not whoever believes in me. Okay, did you notice that? Not whoever believes in me shall never die. In the Aramaic, it says, and whoever lives and entrusts one's heart to the light shall never die. And the thing of it is, you can't not have it because it is who you are. Again, he doesn't say whoever believes in me. And that personal pronoun, that there's no personal pronoun. I say that again, there's no personal pronoun in either the Greek, in the Koine Greek, or the Aramaic. Shockingly, biblical translators must have added the word me. And you can look in the Greek for yourself if you don't believe me. Check out the lexicon at biblehub.com, and look for yourself. The word is not there in the Greek. This means those who live in the divine presence will not separate from their spiritual origin. You won't. We are inseparable from the love light. It's the core of our being. When one lives in one's soul, in the now, in one's higher self, one is aware of the continuity from before birth, through life, through death and after death, and beyond. This light is the continuity not only of the unity here, but the unity everywhere in Jesus' character. And he wasn't talking about me, himself, his body, brain, personality, character, emotion, psychology, or mind. Yeshua, he's asking us to entrust ourselves to the source, the highest energy, the divine presence, God, whatever you want to call it. This mystical concept, it's also echoed in the Gospel of Thomas. These align a lot, the Aramaic and the Gospel of Thomas. And in Thomas 51, his students asked him, when will the day of rest for the dead come? And when will the new world arrive? He replied, what you look for outwardly has already come, but you don't recognize it. This profound statement shows that the answers to our deepest questions and the fulfillment of our spiritual needs is right in front of us, right inside of us. But we fail to see because we're preoccupied with the worldly matters, including mistranslations. Heaven is inside of you. Jesus was never calling us to deify him or to believe in him, the human him, as the atonement savior. He was telling us to be like him because we are like him. How? By returning to a sense of simple presence, connecting the small I to the source of breathing, using breath. We experience these moments of stillness and being before returning to the world of action. these gaps of silence between thoughts and our minds. Time spent in these cumulative gaps of nowness creates a connection during meditation and through life, and a state of spiritual rejuvenation and renewal, being born from above, breath by breath, is key to guidance with a capital G and growth in this life, and easy access to the afterlife, aiming one's heart at the divine in the now. And the results of breathwork in my life highlight the transformational power of the divine energy and the divine promise of eternal life. It's here now. I live in a bubble of heaven now. And right now we are eternally transcendent beings headed home to heaven, which is also here. NDEers know this because we experienced it there and we feel it here. The eternal promise is kept here and now. Back in Bethany, Jesus wept at his friend Lazarus' tomb. As an aside, near-death experiencers, we feel grief and mourning after loss. Jesus wept, though he knew the outcome, and he knew what came next. The outcome for Lazarus when he died, and what came next in the world. And remember, Yeshua was empathetic, and empaths, we can feel overwhelmed by the emotions of others around us. Jesus, he felt the grief of everybody there. How could he not? And it penetrates. It penetrates. Ever been to a funeral where everybody's grieving and you don't even know the person? You end up grieving too. Well, not only are you grieving with the grief that you have inside of you for all the people that you've lost, maybe I do at least feel all the grief of everybody there. That's why I had to avoid crowds. I mean, funerals were terrible for me as a minister. Dipping into everybody suffering all the time. Imagine super Jesus psychic man feeling all the feelings of everybody there. Of course he was weeping. Plus he loved this guy. And even though he knew that Lazarus went back to source and was not dead, he still wept. And the ears, we know this firsthand. We know that only his body was dead. The Aramaic text suggests this, that Yeshua was strong in his soul. Strong in his soul. These two places at once. He's in the depth of his soul in the Aramaic, floating deep inside the divine energy while simultaneously experiencing the agitated, emotional, and physical pain of grief in the innermost depths of his body. There is this experience of both simultaneously. Yet this innermost connective strength absorbed his soul connection and inspired and activated his prana, his life force, this fire inside him in the world, in this balancing point between his heart and his balancing point in his heart between his body and his soul. Again, from the writings of Meister Eckhart. The eye through which I see God is the same eye which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye, one seeing, one knowing, one love. In that space. Now, whether you believe the story of Lazarus' raising or not, maybe it's a myth, maybe it didn't happen. The mystical point is clear. There is a balance point between this world and the next inside us. Jesus lived in this space between the physical and the holy. And he calls us to the same place. And he uses this story in the story. He uses Lazarus as an example. Life doesn't end when the body dies. Yeshua, he was touching the balance point and he knew what to do next. He followed the guidance. With a commanding voice, he called out to the grave in Aramaic. And here's something else too. In the Aramaic, it's a little different. Lazarus, come to creation. Be recreated. This is the Aramaic. Come to creation, be recreated. every near-death experiencer, we come back to creation and we are recreated. We're recreated. And it says in the Aramaic the same thing. And as we know in the story, Lazarus did just that. Now, not long after in the story, the authorities decided to kill Lazarus to keep the story of his raising from spreading and causing more trouble for them with this man, Jesus. They wanted to kill the story. And this sort of reminds me of how near death experiencers weren't so long ago, how we were treated. Let's get the story out there of who we are and how we've changed. And the reason why I do all this work around Jesus is partly because it's an interest of mine and I have a scholarly expertise in it, but also because look at the relationship of what's going on in the Gospel of Thomas and the Aramaic and near-death experiences. It's very, very similar. There's all sorts of overlaps. All sorts of overlaps. There is no death. Only transition. Make it easier on yourself here as you transition and there. If you seek the single eye, the seeing, the knowing, the love within now, you bring that light to yourself and you get guidance. People want to have guidance and healing. I get guidance all the time because I'm following the light inside myself because I step aside. I'm not using my reasoning mind. I use my reasoning mind to make choices, but I don't make the choice to follow the light isn't a matter of reasoning. It's a matter of feeling. It's a matter of non-attachment. It's a matter of sitting and resting inside this energy that is all there is. And you can find spiritual healing here and now through this, through the divine presence itself. And you don't have to take my word for it. I never ask you to take my word for it. I never ask you to believe me. You can find it for yourself because it is who you are right here. And yes, there are tools that help, techniques that work. I choose to use them. Thank you, Natasha, for the super chat. And thank you, Sylvester, for the super chat. You can find your spiritual healing in the here and now. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it brings the energy to us where we are. Now, the story of Lazarus isn't about Jesus' raising Lazarus. Well, it is kind of, but it's really the Christian story has made it about everybody believing in him, but that's not what he said in the Aramaic or the Greek. This thing is inside you. It is you. And if you seek it now, that transition through the moments of death will be easier. That I can promise. So thanks for spending time with me today. Thanks for your financial support, you super chatters. Thanks for supporting this channel financially. I can only be here, literally only be here to help you because of you. Your gifts give hope to countless others. Visit peterpanagore.love. You might book a private session with me if you want to consult, counsel. You can join us on Tuesdays at our Zoom Kriya yoga class. You can find, I pointed down, but that's not where the link is. The link is at peterpanagore.love right now. Mondays and Wednesdays live for our sanghas, our 20-minute meditation sessions, a little bit of teaching. And drop by for Mystic Tea Salon at the top of the hour, which is coming up really soon. And that link is definitely below. Thanks a lot, everybody. I wish I had time to read through the chat over here, but we're short on time today. I'll take a look quickly. Thank you, Melissa, for the super chat. You're welcome. Thanks for thanks for liking this Aramaic stuff that I'm doing, because it's so niche. It's like super niche. It's kind of nerdy. But thanks for being nerds with me. Appreciate it. He really was a mystical man. And what he's saying in the Aramaic deepens this. It doesn't make it more shallow, it makes it deeper. Because Jesus is the Son of Man, not the Son of Man, the S-U-N of man, not the S-O-N of man. Our solar system evolution event is happening right now. Not sure. I guess I have to hear more about that. What Aramaic to English translations do you recommend? Well, unfortunately, there's no really great full translation. There isn't. I haven't found one. There is a translation that's full, but it's not great. It's like the Greek. It's not like the Aramaic. But Revelations of an Aramaic Jesus by Dr. Neil Douglas Klotz. That's what I'm reading. I've been reading it for a while, studying, I should say. Revelations of an Aramaic Jesus. Anyway, when are we running out of time? We are. Let's celebrate the 5th super on a live stream. Their 5th. I'm not sure what that is. Thanks, Holly. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Sylvester. I absolutely love the deeper meaning when you hear the translation. Thank you, Natasha. Space plasma is alive. Blessings on you. Thank you, Nadine. I'm not sure what you mean, space plasma is alive. Everything's alive? Maybe yes. Maybe. I don't know. Consciousness is everywhere. Consciousness is everything. FFFBTI. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. I'll see you at the top of the hour. Mystic Tea Salon. Do drop by. Lurkers, welcome. Love to you all. Peace and love. Bye. See you soon. Tomorrow, even.